6 months post-op from ACL and meniscus surgery, and it has definitely been a process. And I'm at a really good place in my recovery. About a month ago, I was released to start kicking in the water, and sadly, that's when all the pools shut down and I couldn't swim. And I was also released to run, which was amazing, but my body was not ready to start running. My brain and my just connection to my body just was not there. And so as you can see from some of the running footage, I just wasn't ready. And that was really hard for me mentally because I thought I had failed. And I have a very inner locus of control, and I just thought that, this was a date that I was going to be released to run, and I've been putting in so much hard work, so I'm going to be there. Hard work is not necessarily what brings success for ACL. Anything else in life, it's through that sweat equity, and you're going to get to where you want to go through that inner drive and working hard. But with the ACL, you just have to be very patient, and hard work is not necessarily going to get you to a certain timeline. So for me, it was probably one of the hardest moments in my recovery. But then I just got my mindset right again and started focusing on staying present and everything that I could do, which at that time was literally only biking. But I just put in the work and really started, focusing on my physical therapy, and that connection with the mind and the body came back, and I was able to, gain that I guess I had zero hip flexion and hip extension, and my brain was just so off with my running for some reason. But I guess with 5.5 months of not doing it, it just takes time. Good. And so one thing I've learned is I just have to be so patient in the process and just stay the course. The recovery is it's not a linear recovery. There's always ups and there's always downs, and there's steps forward and of course step backwards, and just being okay with that and not putting pressure on yourself to have a comeback in a certain timeline. But just like in anything in life, just staying present, focused, and focusing on that process, and having an amazing team around you that can help get you through the hard times and celebrate the victories. And this past weekend I had an amazing victory. I was able to climb, do some really hard climbs that 2 weeks ago I would not have had the strength to do. And it was just really cool to see on the bike just strength coming back. And I started blood flow restriction. I lasted 2.5 minutes with the blue and the green band, and then I had to take the blue band out because it was way too tight and I could barely turn the pedals. But this is my first attempt at blood flow restriction while I'm on the bike. Really trying to gain that hypertrophy back in my left quad, and I think that's made a big difference with just having a little bit more equal strength in both legs. So you can't really tell it like you used to as much, which is the operative side, and that's my goal, to get back that full strength and more. But it takes time. One of my friends was in a study when he was in college where they immobilized people for a whole week, and in that 1 week you lost 4% of your muscle strength. And obviously, with the injury that I had, there was a lot of my body was in for a shock from what it was used to doing and then what it did do. So the strength was definitely lost. And I would say, from a biking standpoint, I was literally starting all over. I couldn't pedal the bike. I, was celebrating when I had just showed a little bit of power on the bike. And, that's going to come back. And I'm just, trying to just believe, and I know that it will, because I've seen, great gains with my swimming. For instance, I started 6 weeks maybe after the injury, after my incisions were all cleared. I was trying to be conservative because I wanted to make sure everything was clear, was healed up before I got in the water. And the first week I did 15-minute swims. Next week I did 20-minute swims, and then probably within 6 weeks I was doing workouts, slow workouts at first. And I remember doing my first one with my friend Christine when she was here in town for Christmas, and it was just like such a Christmas present to be able to do an actual workout with a friend. And she was really nice to me with easy intervals, but we had a great first swim back. And then I just put my head down, went to work. Swimming was the one thing that I could do for the start of the recovery. There's been some really good changes, and one of them is swimming. I learned how to swim 10 years ago, and I always wondered when that breakthrough would happen and I'd feel like a swimmer. And now I feel like one. I feel like I've gotten stronger in the pool, and my times are reflecting that. But it's interesting, I'm not really necessarily seeing that, the good for what it will do for my career at this moment. And just imagine you're on a 20-mile run and it's just a glorious day and everything's going well, and then you're turning around at that 10-mile mark, and then all of a sudden the storm hits and there's nothing you can do. All you can do is try to get through the storm because you're 10 miles out. And right now I'm like in that storm, and then all of a sudden there's like a ray of light that you can see in the distance, but at the same time you're not focusing on that ray of light. Where your focus is trying everything in its power to just make it through that storm. And swimming right now is that ray of light, but right now I'm just trying to make it out. And there's thunder and lightning around me, but what I'm doing right now is getting me through that storm. And I'm excited for that sun that is going to be bursting, but right now I'm just trying to make it through. And I'm hoping that at the 5-month mark, when I meet with my surgeon, I'll be able to do my absolute favorite passion and go run outside. And it'll be March 24th. Not that I'm counting down the days, but it'll be beautiful and sunny, and so that's my goal. my run form. I was never a runner growing up, and so I just ran because I was in other sports, and I had speed, and so when I started running, I never really focused on my technique, and I had never been injured, so for me this was how I ran, and I didn't want to fix what wasn't broken, so I just kept my poor running form, and now I had to relearn how to run, and my running is way more efficient and it's a much better stride than what it was, and I'm still not at the place where I'm back with my running yet, but it's been huge steps forward. And then I just realized I am so thankful to be able to do what I love again. And when something's taken away from you, like literally 4.5 months, I have not been able to train outside, let alone exercise outside. So to say that it was great for my mind is an understatement. It just showed me just how much I love what I do and in the daily grind. So never take for granted that gift that you have every day to wake up and do what you love and just move. The human body needs that movement, and when it's taken away from you, it can be extremely, extremely difficult. I can really focus on starting back, thinking like I'm a triathlete and not in recovery, and it's just one day at a time. And I'm really thankful for just the team that I have that has really helped me through every moment, and I just could never do it without my village. So I'm just taking it one day at a time, and I just thank you so much for your support in the journey, and hopefully next update I will have some good things to report.